naughty and I was giving class, and then after class the father said, yes, but Prabhupada said that if they're naughty that means they'll be intelligent. Well, they can be naughty outside the class. We want to get rid of this naughty nature as quickly as possible. There's nothing more admirable, more attractive than a young child who's very sober in Krishna consciousness. Isn't it? Little children who are 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 who are very serious about the process of Krishna consciousness. That's something very attractive. Like we spoke about Padmavati the other day, that little 9-year-old girl in Vrindavan who told me that she has dreams about... I asked her, I said, do you dream of Krishna? No. Oh, okay. But I dream of Radha. You remember we told that story? I said, oh, what did you dream? Oh, Radharani, I dreamt last night. I came and I woke her up according to the prescribed method. And then when she woke up, she kindly kissed me on the forehead. Oh, what a dream. What kind of child is this? What was I dreaming at 9? What am I dreaming at 59? I said, I wish I could have a dream like that Radharani would kiss me on the forehead. She won't kiss you, you're a male. Who are these children? That type of child who gives up the naughtiness from the beginning. This is what. Let us give it up now, instantaneously. So maintaining these attachments, even after hearing all these purports about the rain, the scorching heat, this, that, we should walk out of this tent. Okay, now I have actually heard. Actually, in Vedic culture, 3 times is enough. You hear, next time you assimilate, next time the disciple would realize. That's the caliber of the people in the past. They would go to the Guru, they'd hear, okay. Next time, Guru would say the same thing. Aha. Next time, I realize. I often tell the story. One time I was traveling with Srila Prabhupada, and we went to an airport, and there were a lot of devotees, a big commotion, and somehow or other, by Krishna's causeless mercy, just myself and Srila Prabhupada, we were walking from the immigration to the airplane. Other passengers, even a few other devotees, they were stopped because of the commotion. I was walking with Prabhupada. And they were very harsh with Prabhupada as we were going out the security. He had his little white bag, and famous white bag, and the security officer said, open that bag. And Prabhupada had some trouble with the locks. It wasn't working, so the man became offensive. He said, I told you to open that bag. So I became angry. I leaned over and I said, if you speak to my spiritual master like that one more time, I'm going to break your face. So he said to me, I thought you Hare Krishnas were non-violent. I said, just wait and see. But then he said to me, then you open it. So, you know, you remember that white bag? Well, you don't remember, but Prabhupada would always carry that bag. He wouldn't let anyone touch it. Only his trusted servant, like Harisuri Prabhu or other devotees, they could touch that bag. So I turned to Prabhupada and I folded my hands. I said, like that. So I took it, it just opened. And then it opened up, and then I was like, oh my God, I always wanted to see what was inside that white bag. And there was a pair of beautiful, effulgent kartals. It was a set of extra japa beads. I wanted to grab them. And there was Prabhupada's tilak, and a mirror, and there was some snuff. You probably would keep awake at night for translating. And there were a beautiful pen, and there was other, and I was just lucky. And the officer said, excuse me, young man, I'm the person who's supposed to look in that bag. So I turned the bag around, and then he was looking, and then I closed it. I thought, the gaze of this impolite, materialistic meat eater shouldn't even look upon my spiritual master's possessions. There was this tense moment between me and him. And Prabhupada was just... So then finally the security officer relented, and then he gave me back the bag. I went, Hare Krishna. So we were walking to the plane, and Prabhupada turned to me and he said, what is your name? And I was like, I froze. I couldn't remember my name. It's just being with Prabhupada was just such a deep, transcendental, emotional experience. So I went, Indradyumna Das. So Prabhupada said, just see Indradyumna. Because of their association with the modes of material nature, tamas, mirajas, and even sattva, they have no good qualities. Do you understand? And I hardly remember what Prabhupada said. I was so nervous. Yes! So we walked a few more steps, and Prabhupada stopped and turned. And I kept kind of walking and stumbling. I had to come back a few steps. So, Indradyumna Das, because they're in constant association with this material energy, they become covered. They become covered. The true beauty of the soul becomes covered, and they become covered with these material quality, the anger and envy. Do you understand? Yes! We kept walking. We got to the steps. The plane goes up. There was just the two of us still. And he stops and he puts his cane down, looks me straight in the eye. Because of their association with the modes of nature, no good qualities. But when they get the opportunity for Krishna consciousness, all good qualities come forward. Do you understand? And then that was the third time, and somehow by the causeless mercy of my spiritual master, I realized, yes, the living entity becomes covered by material nature. If that covering is washed away, Chittadarpanamaya, then he can begin to experience and exhibit divine qualities. Tatikshava kurnika shuridam sarvadehinam achata shatava shanta shadavasada bhushanaha. Sadavasada bhushanaha means the Lord decorates his devotees with all saintly qualities, just like a soldier. After the war, after the battle, he was courageous, then he gets all these medals. Devotee gets tolerance, forgiveness, love for all conditioned souls. He has no enemies. Bhagavatam says. Sadavasada, all his devotees. So, somehow by the third time, I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada, I understand. Thank you. Prabhupada went, Hare Krishna. So I experienced that phenomenon. I absolutely, believe me, no qualifications. But I experienced what it was like in Vedic times because of the purity of life, the purity of heart, the purity of intention. The disciple would sit before the master and hear with rapt attention, with the desire to advance. And by hearing 3 times, yes, sir, I understand. Thank you. Paripashana sevaya. Now that you've understood this jewel of spiritual wisdom, now what? Sevaya. Go out and serve the spiritual master and share the same realizations with others. But we remain attached. How many times have we heard the Bhagavatam? How many times have we heard the Prabhupada's purports? Once, twice, thrice, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ad infinitum. And still, lust, anger, greed. So how to solve this problem? We have to analyze it a little bit. To stop and think. What is this phenomena? I call myself a devotee, but I maintain material. In essence, I'm actually the great pretender. There was a song in the 60s. I am the great pretender. So sometimes I think like that of myself. I have this position and this movement, and I have this disciples, but the material desires are there, still in the chamber. What to do? Well, become sober, tackle the problem. If at first you don't succeed, try again. I had one Muslim friend in Oman. I was preaching in Oman, and they wanted me to go out to one village to meet one of the Islamic personalities. So I put on the same clothes as they wear, the kind of robes they wear, because I couldn't go as a devotee, and so they had me dressed like that in those robes, the Muslims. So I went out and I met with him, and we talked, and we had long talks about Krishna consciousness, about Islam, like that. And he said, Maharaj, in your spiritual tradition, do sometimes the practitioners fall from the path? I said, yeah. He said, also in our tradition. He said, we have one nice proverb. He said, if you fall down 8 times, oh, I thought 8 times? He was just talking about one time. If you fall down 8 times, Muhammad says, pick yourself up 9 times. So, if you don't succeed, try. So we have to analyze what is this problem, this attachment. We have to know what is our enemy. Just like there's one book called The Art of War by Sun Tzu. 3rd chapter, verse 18. If you know the enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself, but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer defeat. So what is our enemy? Our enemies, where I preach, it's the Polish church. It's the government. They send the skinheads to beat us. They publish all these irrational, illogical, horrible rumors about us. Yes, they're the enemy. The enemy is the scientists who say that life comes from matter. Those rascals. People commit horrific acts like abortion because they think that there's no life in the womb and it comes about by some chemical interaction at 7 months. They're the demons. Hello. There's the 3 fingers. No, we may very well be our own worst enemy. We maintain these material attachments. We don't let go. One time there was a disciple. He went to his guru. Guruji, I think that I am a worthwhile candidate for initiation. You will become famous by having a disciple like me. I am ready for initiation. Only problem is that Maya keeps holding on to me. She won't let go. That's the only problem, Gurudev. Maya just won't let go. The Guru said, you rascal. You come with me. Guru went to one big banyan tree, and he tried to embrace the banyan tree. He's holding on the banyan. He started screaming, the Guru, let me go! Let me go, banyan tree! Let me go! Let me go! His disciple's there scratching his head. Gurudev, the banyan tree is not holding on to you. You are holding on to the banyan tree. So the Guru let go. He's turned around. Whew, yes! In the same way, Maya is not holding on to you, my dear disciple. You are holding on to Maya. You're not ready for initiation yet. Then he took him to the river. And he took his sika and he plunged his head under the water. He held it there for 4 minutes and 38 seconds. Because a human being can only survive without oxygen for 4 minutes and 42 seconds. He pulled his head up. The Guru said, how bad were you desiring air? Oh, Gurudev, like life itself. The Guru stepped back. He said, when you want initiation that bad, you're ready to follow all the rules and regulations, then you come to me and I'll give you initiation. If you want it as bad as you wanted that air, that's a sign of your sincerity. You're ready to relinquish all those nasty desires and start to learn the process of devotional service. Then I will accept yours. Accepting Guru doesn't mean you have to be a pure devotee. You're a student, he's master, you're coming to learn. Your qualification is you're ready to let go. At least in principle, desires may be there, but you're subduing them by the process of Krishna consciousness. You're keeping them down by regular practice of Krishna consciousness. So our enemy is actually Maya Devi herself. She has two functions. One, Maya Devi throws us from the spiritual world. The minute Bahirmukha, Radhanath Pandit says in his Prema Vivarta, the minute we turn our face away from God, we become captured by the illusory energy. It's like you're talking to somebody, and you turn your head away. They're speaking to you, and you turn your head away. That's very impolite. My mother used to say, young man, I'm speaking to you, look at me. My mother would be scolding me. I'm looking at you, speak. I'm speaking to you, look at me. Yes, Mom. Turning your face, Bhadirmukh. We turn our face from the Lord, we become ensnared. At that moment, Radhanath Pandit says, Maya Devi takes over. It's like Prabhupada, he was also transcendentally naughty when he was a little boy. He didn't want to go to school. Why should he go to school? He knows everything by Krishna's grace. He didn't want to go to school. So they had to employ Damodar. Damodar Das was the local person who would take all the kids who didn't want to go to school. He'd tie them up by a rope around their waist and drag them to school. Prabhupada told that story. In the same way, when we're naughty, Krishna, Maya, take him down there for a good lesson. She takes you and throws you. Mumbai. Then she covers you with illusion. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most handsome of them all? You are. A very intelligent reflection. We become covered. It's most amazing when you think about it. We were pure spirit souls in the spiritual world. Wonderful. And now, I remember sitting with Prabhupada one time here in Mayapur in his room, and he was just looking at his hand like this. Like, what is this foreign object? That was my impression. We become enchanted. We had a body which was a spiritual body, eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. And now, we're in a body which is temporary, full of ignorance and suffering. And we think we got the better part of the deal. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, this is Maya's big joke. We got the wrong end of the stick, and we're thinking we got the better part of the deal. This is the influence of Maya. She covers us. Daviyesha gunamayi mama maya dharatyaya mamiraye prapantyante mayam mitam taranti te. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. Those who have surrendered to me can easily overcome it. One time Prabhupada said to one of his disciples, your problem, young man, is you're not afraid of Maya. She's the one that covers us, who makes it look attractive. Even demigods are bewildered by her potency. What to speak of us? So what to do? Don't confront her, don't try to, quote unquote, take her on. Best to avoid her. This is also instructed in the Art of War. Chapter 3, verse 19 for you soldiers. If equally matched, we'll fight. If slightly inferior in numbers, we will avoid the enemy. And if quite unequal in every way, we'll flee and run away. So this material energy is so dangerous, it's better not to confront her. Not to even give her the time of day, not to even look her in the eye, just like in Vrindavan. The other day I was walking near Govardhan Hill, and there was this big monkey. So, you know how they are, they're dangerous sometimes, this big monkey. So he was kind of So I said, I'll just stop him and look him in the eye. So I stopped and I went, I looked him in the eye, and he jumped towards me. I had to run away. I got back home and one devotee told me, no, never look a monkey in the eye, because they take that as a challenge. Whenever you're in the monkeys come in Vrindavan, just walk, but don't look at them. If you look them in the eye, they're thinking, oh, this is a challenge. So what happens when you look Maya in the eye? You get bewildered, just like you look at the sun. Right? Oh, it's a beautiful sun. Okay, let's look. Then you become blinded. If you look the sun in the eye, what happens? You become blinded. Oh, it's very beautiful. So many poetic descriptions of it. You look, but even if you just look for a short while, then it takes a while for your eyes to adjust. So because we're entertaining Maya, because we're looking in that direction, we become like the person described by Narottam Das Thakur. Here I am in the middle of a Holocaust, trying to enjoy myself. Deha patya kalatrashu atma shainyeshvatashvapi tesham pramato nidhanam pashan api nipashati. Persons devoid of atmatapa do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached to fallible soldiers like their body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. So how is it we can't see? There's no enjoyment in this world. Prabhupada summed it up. Hankering and lamenting. Where did he mention the happiness? You hanker, hanker, hanker. You get it for a moment, and you lament for it. Hours, weeks, months, or years. It's like when I first went to Russia. You know, in the beginning years, in the communist era, 1988, 1999, they didn't know how to cook. They didn't know what vegetarianism, all there was to eat was like meat and vodka. So devotees had to scrounge and, you know, get some potatoes and some tomatoes and this and that and try to make something which they perceived was Krishna conscious. So one time I was so frustrated. What do you want, Maharaj? I want an American sandwich. What is that? I said, I want some bread and some cucumber and tomato and some cheese. Okay, we'll get it. So they didn't have any idea what it was, so they went and they got a big loaf of bread like that, thick, and they cut it. And they put one little pinch of butter there, one little tiny tomato slice, a little cucumber. Yeah. And they gave it to me. Here's your American sandwich. It was all bread, and it was just a little tiny nectar. I thought, what's Krishna trying to teach me? So I said, thoughtful, I said, this is material life. Hankering, big lamenting, and todo enjoyment. Actually, according to Kaviraj Goswami and Chaitanya Charitamrita, he said the concept of good and bad in this world is wrong. It's all bad. Even the good is bad in the sense that it distracts us from pure devotional service to Krishna. This is the conviction of a devotee. So, we're blinded by these desires, we can't see the truth. So what happens? Krishna says 4 kinds of men and women come to him. Those who are curious, those who are looking for some material facility, another one, and then those who are in distress. Prabhupada said out of the 4, mostly 98% come to Krishna consciousness out of distress. That makes sense. It's not just this one lifetime we've been trying to enjoy. How many lifetimes is it? Prabhupada said infinity. You can't count. So finally we come, why? Just like if I sit down and I want to give class, right? The microphone's not working. Yeah, try to fix it. No, it doesn't work. Try to fix it. And you're waiting for me, right? 1 hour, 2 hours. Maharaj is still fiddling with the microphone. 3 hours, 4 hours. Hey Maharaj, hello. Doesn't work. Are you intelligent enough to just give it up because it doesn't work? Intelligent person, after 5 minutes, hey, sound technician, change the mic. It's a funny example. We're the same. life after life after life, we're still trying to enjoy that which is not enjoyable. So finally, we become like that personality which Rupa Goswami describes in his Padyavali. Oh my Lord, I am drowning in the fathomless whirlpool of material existence. Please, he says, just this one time, extend your hand to save me. I love that verse. Oh my Lord, I'm drowning in the fathomless whirlpool of material existence. Krishna, God, please, just don't you see me? Please, this one time, extend your hand to save me. This is the result of our sojourn to material. Everyone will eventually come to this point. They'll pray like that. That earnest prayer endears you to the heart of the Lord. And what does he do? Now that you've determined that you're not going to follow that pravritti marg, that foolish path. What does he do? How does he extend his hand? Tvam nashandarshito dattara dushtaram nistitir shatam kalim sadvam haram pumsham karnadhari varanam. The sages of the Naimisharanya forest, they said to Sutta Goswami, who appeared without being asked even, we think that we have met your goodness by the will of providence, just so that we may accept you as captain of the ship for those who desire to cross over the difficult ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all the good qualities of a human being. That's when the anger, the frustration, the miseries, they all begin to stop, and you start to experience the joy of Krishna consciousness. Rupa Goswami says in Nectar of Devotion, the first symptom of pure devotional service, not necessarily meaning you are a pure devotee, but you are on the path of pure devotion, is that you feel a relief from the miseries of material existence. Everyone in this tent, to a greater or lesser degree, has experienced that relief from material existence. You don't have to be an Uttama Adhikari, you don't even have to be a Madhyama Adhikari to feel joy in Krishna consciousness, happiness. Just like if you're drowning and someone comes in a boat and he picks you up just 1 inch out of the water, you're saved from the fear of drowning. We may not be Uttamas, we may not be Madhyams, we may just be downright Kanishta. But we feel safe and secure in the service of Guru and Gauranga. By their mercy, we have stopped those sinful activities which entangle us in the church. As a result of letting go of that live wire. You know when it's a live wire, you grab onto it, what happens? You can't let go. Somehow someone comes and pulls you up. That's what happened. That extension of mercy was our spiritual master. Somehow by the arrangement of the Lord, he came into our lives, and now we're experiencing that relief, and we're experiencing the ecstasy, which comes from his most important instruction to chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Before concluding, I want to make one last point. It's a very scientific process, as outlined by Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. Ado Shuddha Tata Sadhu Sangata Bhajana Kriya Anartha Nivrittisya Tato Nishta Ruchish Tata. You can just open up that verse, it's there in the verse books, it's in the teachings of Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, and you can see, oh, I'm there. I'm on the second line, I'm on the third line. First comes association with the sadhus. By associating with those sadhus, we want to be like them. By comparison, materialistic person and a sadhu, hey, I want to be like the sadhu. Right? When I first met the devotees, I was just a young man, 18 years old. It took 4 sannyasis to convince me to let go of the live wire and engage in Vishnu Jan Maharaj, Brahmananda Maharaj, Subal Maharaj, and Vargamuni Maharaj. 4 sannyasis. They were traveling through the town where I lived, Ann Arbor, Michigan. I was a gardener for the president of the university, you know, long hair, big beard, and, you know, my t-shirt raking the leaves, you know, miserable, working in the hot sun. All that. I heard this. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Drop my ring. Every day they were having kirtan on the lawn. Just drawn, just do the kirtan of Vishnu Jan Maharaj. Such a beautiful singer. So much devotion for Prabhupada. Just pulled my heart. Off the property of the president of the university, down the streets, onto the lawn where they were having their kirtan, surrounded by 400 students. I'm staring, who are these people? Are they Buddhists? Are they Muslims? Are they Christians? And I didn't know what they were. And Maharaj ends the kirtan, he stands up. This Krishna conscious movement was established in the West by my spiritual master, Srila A.C. Bhakti. He was speaking with so much devotion. Yeah, I want him to be my master too. This material life is just simply full of misery. Yes, Maharaj, yes, yes. One can only be happy by chanting, say it, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. So I was married at the time, and I turned to my wife and I said, I want to be just like him. She said, yes, that would be very nice. Why don't you be just like him? Little did she know he was a sannyasi who had renounced everything, including his wife and his children. So I think later she may have regretted those words. Ador sadha tata sadhu sangata bhajana. Then, oh yes, so what do I have to be like us? You have to do this. What? Stop these sinful activities. Yes, sir. Stopped. Chant. Get up early, attend the program, worship the deity. This is called bhajana kriya. Then, anartha nivritti syat. The call deity starts going away. Then, tato nishta ruchish tata. You become steady, you get a taste. You don't just get up and think, oh God, I have to go through all this morning. No. You wake up bright and early. Oh, Hari Bol, Mangal Arti, Tulsi Puja. You run. What was that? It's a devotee on his way to the temple. It happens. It's happened to all of us. But there's one quality in particular I would like to conclude with, which is actually the subject matter of the verse today. And that is a devotee who's been on this path of Krishna consciousness for some time. He experiences a deep, very sincere compassion for those who have not yet experienced this relief from material misery and the joy of Krishna consciousness. Look for that quality in your heart. As the material qualities are going away, and by Guru and Ganga's grace, they will go away. Just be patient with the Goswami says. And look for this quality. Pray that this quality, which is the genuine, which is the crest jewel of all the good qualities of a Vaishnava, this quality of compassion begins to manifest in your heart. This is the sign of someone who's in this Brahma, Gaudiya, Madhva, Vaishnava Sampradaya. There are various transcendentalists. There's yogis, there's jnanis, and there's bhaktas. They're all great souls because they're determined to give up this nasty world and achieve a transcendental destination. But the bhaktas, the Vaishnavas, as evident in this verse today, in the prayers of Brahma, that he feels pity for those who are suffering in this material world. This is the most noble and most distinguishing quality of it sets them apart from all the yogis and all the jnanis who are only concerned for their own deliverance. It's an ethic in our Krishna conscious movement. Just like in my country we have the Army Rangers. They're an elite fighting force. And they have a code. They go into a battle, they have a very noble code. We will not leave one man behind. What does this mean? This means if a soldier is injured in the battle, or even if a soldier is killed, they don't leave that fire zone, we call it. They don't leave without taking the injured soldier with them. They won't even leave a body behind. There was a famous incident in Somalia some years ago, and they made a movie out of it. It was called Black Hawk Down, where the American forces were fighting in Somalia, and it was a few soldiers went into town, they got surrounded by the opposition. There were hundreds of Somali opposition fighting with machine guns and rocket launchers and all this, and there were 4 or 5 Army Rangers, in a helicopter that had been downed, and they were in the hulk of that protective, whatever was left of the helicopter, and they were fighting. I think 2 were killed and 2 remained. They sent a radio transmission back to headquarters, and a whole fleet of helicopters came in to rescue them. But still, it was a great fight because there were hundreds of Somalis. They lost something like 32 men. So many were wounded, but in the end, every injured man and every body was removed from the fighting scene. This is their ethic. Of course, it's a materialistic concept, we're not necessary, but the same principle is there in our Krishna conscious movement. A genuine Vaishnava is like Prahlad Maharaj. My Lord, I'm not interested in going to the Himalayas to meditate and achieve salvation from material existence. No. As your devotee enjoying this wonderful process of Krishna consciousness, my only concern is for those poor fools and rascals who are suffering in the cities of Kali Yuga. As it said, God made the country and man made Mumbai. These hellish Kali Yuga cities. Or as Vasudev Dutt said, Jivera Papa Lana Muni Karan Naraka Bhog. Shikala Jivera Prabhu Uchacha Bhavarog. My dear Lord, let me suffer perpetually in a hellish condition, accepting all the sinful reactions of all living entities, but please finish their diseased material life. In his commentary on that very famous verse, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati has said that Jesus Christ was willing to accept the sins of his followers, but a Vaishnava like Vasudev Dutt, and we are in his line, is prepared to accept the sinful reactions of all living entities. So that sentiment is there in all genuine Vaishnavas from time immemorial. We hear very clearly, it's there in the Adi Guru of our Sampradaya, Brahma. His sadness is to see people suffering this harshness of winter, the scorching heat of summer, the hunger, the fatigue. We want to emulate him. We want to be like him. One time a disciple said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I want to be just like you. And the devotee, wait, you can't say that. You can't be like the Guru. Prabhupada took it in a different way. He said, thank you, that is very nice. The disciple should try to come up to the standard of pure devotional service, just like the spiritual master. It's natural. It should be very natural for us because, as we see, a wealthy man who has once experienced poverty is very often very merciful to the poor. Sometimes people are born into a rich family and they don't have that same compassion as a man who, made it on his own. Just like my grandfather. He was a poor man. He came from Europe. And he came with actually the clothes on his back, but he invented this concept of the floating roof on the oil, those big oil things. He invented this concept that if you put a floating roof on it, the oil will evaporate less quickly. He became a billionaire, my grandfather. This just gave me a little bit, but I still love him. He was a great philanthropist. And one day I was there when my mother and father were talking with him, and I heard this. It didn't make any sense at the time, but only later when I was a devotee did it make sense. My parents asked him, "Why are you giving so much of your wealth away?" Because he said, "I understand what is poverty." I couldn't figure it out at that time. Only when I became a devotee did it make sense. In the sense of a devotee who's a very magnanimous soul, who goes out of his way, even to the point of exhausting his health, even risking his life, like Jesus Christ, Prabhupada said, to give Krishna consciousness to others. What is that sentiment? Because one who has himself experienced the miseries of material existence, having tasted the salvation of Krishna consciousness, he's naturally going to feel benevolent towards others. At one point, this quality has to manifest. If we're practicing Krishna consciousness properly, this quality will come. Just like Narada Muni. Of course, he's an eternal liberated soul, but we read how thousands or millions of years ago he was born into a common family, actually didn't even know his father. He was a son of a maidservant and living a very simple life, just washing clothes and this and that. And what did he know about anything? One day the 3 or 4 Bhakti Vedantas, Prabhupada called them, sannyasis, came to that area and spent the 4 months of the rainy season there, and his mother happened to cook for them, and he came by one day, a little kid without any real interest, and he just yanked on the top piece, "Maharaj, gulab, give me gulab, give me some prasad." So that Vaishnava was very compassionate. He bit it and gave it to him. He took the prasad of the Lord and his mom, and he gave it, and then what did Narada say? Upon taking that prasad, that mercy of the Vaishnava, the very nature of the transcendentalist became attractive to me. And then what happened to Narada Muni? He himself became a bearer of that faith. Having experienced what it was like to live that simple material existence, having been delivered by the Vaishnavas, his whole existence since that time has simply been delivering Krishna consciousness. We have the same experience. We cannot stand by when we see the world going to hell. We can't. There was once a movie I saw when I was a boy, can't remember what it was, the name, but it was by a famous movie producer called Fellini. I remember going to that movie as a teenager and coming out not understanding a thing. I had to be explained by my friend. The whole movie was a silent movie. It was just a movie about a young couple who got into their sports car and started driving out into the country for a picnic. But Fellini had this subtle way of presenting his message to the world. First, they came across a terrible car accident at an intersection. They didn't even look. They just drove by. At the next intersection, they came across a boy who had been hit by a motorcycle. They just drove on. Next turn, a house was burning down, people were crying. It just went on. The whole movie for an hour and a half was just about these people out to have a good time, oblivious to the miseries of others. That's how the movie ended. I walked out, I said, I didn't get the point. My friend had to sit me down like for half an hour. The point is that some people that are well off, they don't care about the miseries of others. Fellini was saying that we should be philanthropic in our activities. Again, when I became a devotee, I understood it in perfection. We are even more fortunate than any materialistic person. We have the bliss of devotional service. We're meant to share it with others. We can't just let the whole world go by when we actually have the answer. They think that by changing the economy, by changing the political party, like here in India, this party, that will solve the problem. By scientific advancement, by advanced medicine. No. That's history. History is repeating itself, but that doesn't solve the problem. The only thing that will solve the problem is Krishna consciousness. Who has the medicine to solve those problems? It's not the politicians, It's not the economists. It's not the scientists. It's not the doctors. It's not the do-gooders who give in philanthropy lots of money and medicine. Who is it that can solve the problems? It's you and me, the person sitting next to you. We can carry to them the message of Srila Prabhupada, the message of Lord Chaitanya, the mercy of Radha Krishna, in a very simple form. As Mahaprabhu said, he has appeared to give the medicine which will cure the disease of material existence. Once again, what is that very simple medicine? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. A material philanthropist, a doctor, someone who's helping others, he's a bit above the rest, a head above the rest, because he doing for others, sacrifice. He has a certain imagine the satisfaction of delivering others from material existence altogether. That is the real happiness of Krishna consciousness. Chanting the holy names softly in the morning in our apartment. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Perfection of life. Coming to the temple and chanting with the other devotees like we're doing here in Mayapur. Whoa, that's so nice. But taking that chanting out onto the streets of your town and letting those who are ignorant of all these transcendental truths, letting them hear that chanting, that's the highest satisfaction in Krishna consciousness. Why? Because it pleases Lord Chaitanya. It pleases Srila Prabhupada. It pleases the holy name. Srinam Prabhu, the holy name is a person. When you chant, he's very happy. When you chant with your god brothers and god sisters, he's very happy. When you take him, the holy name, and you give him to the fallen people, nothing gives the Lord more pleasure, because that, in essence, is his very reason for coming into this material world. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam. To deliver the devotees, annihilate the miscreants, and reestablish the principles of religion. So when you go out and you chant Hare Krishna to the non-believers, Lord is so pleased. And when Lord is pleased, you will be pleased. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur concluded. Actually, he was looking from across the river, Jalangi, looking here to this particular property, this very spot, envisioning this beautiful temple that's going to manifest in due course of time. He was very happy to see all of you, the Russians, the Americans, the Germans, the Indians, the Americans, chanting, 4,000 people here. But actually it wasn't just us 4,000. He's an acharya, he has a very great vision. He was envisioning hundreds of thousands of people from different nations chanting. Let us not sit on our laurels. Oh, look what we've done. There's 4,000. There's 4,000 people here, but there's 5 billion people who are not here. So he was envisioning hundreds of thousands, generations of people coming through Mayapur Dham, Germans, Russians, Americans, Japanese, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is the vision of the acharyas, that we share our good fortune. So he concluded, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, I only be happy when the whole 14 worlds are chanting Hare Krishna. So that is actually our greatest fortune. Our minor fortune is we've been delivered from material existence. A great fortune is that we have the opportunity to perform these things ourselves, but our greatest fortune is to be able to, and with a lonely heart, I will go out to preach the divine command. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki. Sri Mayapur Dham ki.